Hi, welcome. In case you are new to my channel, my name is Executor. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to deploy vCenter from VMware ESXI.7. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to open Edge over here and show you guys. So this part of the video assumes that you already know how to install VMware ESXi. This is the end result after you install VMware ESXi right here. This is how it looks. And as you can see, this button suggests that we get vCenter server to associate to this platform over here. In case you don't know, vCenter provides you with a lot more features to manage your virtual machines. It's like a steroid that you put on VMware ESXi. And that's what we are going to learn how to deploy. Because as of right now, you can see the button here and it suggests that we get vCenter server. Cool. So I would like to show you guys, pay attention to the metrics over here, the CPU, usage, the memory, and the storage. You will see a big difference right after we deploy vCenter. Okay, so in case you are following along, all you have to do is Google how to download vCenter in case you're brand new, and just download it like you would any other software. You already know Microsoft always requests that you just create an account, a user account, and then through that user account you just download all their softwares, whether you're buying them or you're using them on a free version, like for trial. So I'll assume that you know how to just install it and you already have it downloaded in your downloads folder. So we will go to the downloads folder, and in my downloads folder I created a folder called ISO, and that's where I keep all the ISOs that I download. So I'm gonna click that and look for vCenter. This is how it looks like. This is the name, the file name after you download it. Now, this is just the basic VMware ESXi. Don't worry, in the second part of this video, I'll show you guys how to download, how to install ESXi in case you're brand new to VMware ESXi and don't know how to. So don't worry, we'll get there. First things first, we're gonna move on with vCenter. I'm gonna double click it, and I'm gonna go into this folder, vcsa-ui-installer. That's what we want. Double click that, and if you are using a Linux computer, you're gonna be interested on the first folder named Lin64. If you are on a Mac computer, you're gonna be interested on the folder named Mac. And if you are using a Windows computer like me right now, you're gonna be interested in this folder right here, Win32. So I'm gonna double click that, and we're gonna look for the installer right here. So go ahead and double click the installer, and the process will get started. As you can see, this is the wizard that's gonna help us deploy vCenter. Pretty straightforward. So we're gonna double click install. Click install, and we're gonna go with next. We're gonna agree to the end user license agreement, and we're gonna click next. And over here, you're gonna have to either put a fully qualified domain name or the IP address of your ESXi, of your VMware ESXi. So if you are an advanced user and you install VMware ESXi, and you already gave it a fully qualified domain name, meaning you have a DNS server set up and all that good stuff that resolves your IP address to that domain name and vice versa. So you can put that domain name right here. If you're like me, like just freshly installed it and haven't set up a DNS server yet to do all that, so you simply just want to put the IP address of your VMware ESXi. And as you can see, the IP address of my VMware ESXi is this one right here. So that's all you have to put in there. So I'm gonna just paste it. Can't paste, it's all good. I'll just type it. 192.168.1.119. And we're gonna keep HTTPS on port 443. And this one, username, we're gonna put the username of the VMware ESXi that you're using. So if you haven't changed it, you should go with the default that is root. So I'm gonna put root, and then you're gonna put your super secure password right here, the same password that you use to log into ESXi. So I'm gonna go ahead and put mine, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click next. This is just a certificate warning because it's using a self-signed certificate, which is fine. That's why we have the not secure on top over here. So we're just gonna go ahead and just accept that and then move on. So if you want to give it a fancy name, you can. I mean, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just gonna keep the default name right here, VMware vCenter server. And I'll go ahead and just set up a root password. Please remember to put a password that you will easily remember and not forget. And of course, it has to match. Go ahead and click next. And over here, so this is just like the sizes, like those. I mean, in a production environment, like big companies will probably have a lot of services that they offer, and they might be interested on on the bigger sizes over here, like the medium, large, extra large. For my home server right here, I mean my home lab right here, I don't think I'll be having more than 10 hosts, and I definitely don't know if I'll be reaching 100 hosts with my VMware ESXi. And then the VMs that will be installed, I do not think I'll be even installing more than 100 VM, let alone 1,000. But so yeah, you can just pick the size that fits your need. But be aware, the size that you select here is gonna consume the resources of your VMware ESXi, just like that right here. As soon as you're done deploying vCenter, you will see this amount of resource taken. So for example, if I go ahead and choose a small over here, that means at the end of it, you will see that the memory of my VMware ESXi over here, like this part, this memory, this will be taken straight up. You will be taking it will be minus 19 for vCenter. Just be aware, and based on that, select whichever fits your need and move on. I'll leave it to small. And so I have two data stores. I have two data stores of 1 terabyte each, and as you can see, I have 500 remaining here, and I have around 800 remaining here. So I'm going to select the data store 2 for the vCenter, and I'm going to enable thin disk mode, because this, when you enable this, that means your machine will only take, so your machine is going to start at 0 and then expand in space as the need requires. But if let's say you go ahead and if you keep with your default and the machine requires 500, that means it will automatically take 500 gigabytes of storage, whether it needs it or not. But if you enable thin disk mode, that means the machine will not go greedy and take and amount of space that it doesn't need. So it's gonna start from 0 and just grow up. So the more stuff that you add, it will be taking more space and just growing like that. So I suggest you enable this one. And then click next. And over here, I would like to connect it to the port group of infrastructure. I will show you guys how to, how I came up with these port group naming over here. So if you haven't done that, you're probably gonna only have something called VM network, like the default. And you can just go with that. And I'm gonna be sticking with infrastructure. And so I'm not gonna go with static. I'm gonna just go with DHCP. And I'm not going to put a fully qualified domain name. I will leave that. Since I don't have a DNS server, it wouldn't even make sense to put one. And we're gonna go ahead and just click next. And this is the summary. We're gonna go ahead and finish. Now, this part, if it's your first time deploying vCenter, if it's your first time, be aware that this part over here will take a long time. So what we're going to do for the time being, I have done this on purpose. I will leave this running, and we will go ahead and I'll show you guys how to install VMware ESXi, just like this, to get this one. To be honest, this one right here is running on a hardware. So I have a Dell tower. I have a Dell tower of 2 terabytes that I use to run this. So this is a type 1 hypervisor that you are currently looking at. But what I'm going to do is VMware ESXi allows you to also use a virtual machine version, so you can just download it and test it and see how it is. So you don't really need to have a server or a physical hardware to run it. So I'll go ahead and show you guys how to do that on VMware Workstation. So we're just going to go ahead and install it like every other virtual machine that we install. So as you can see, I already have quite a few of them running here. Let me go ahead and shut this one down. I have this one, and I have this one that I was using for testing purpose and all that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shut it down and show you guys how to freshly install it. So, all right, okay, that's down. So what we're going to do is we're just gonna go ahead and just create a new virtual machine. And I'm just gonna keep the typical recommended and just click next. And over here, I'm just gonna go ahead and select my VMware ESXi. And this is the file you would like to choose. So as you can see, the naming, it looks very different than a vCenter. The vCenter is different than the ESXi itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that, open it, and I'm gonna go ahead and click next. And in order to avoid some naming conflicts, I'm going to give this one a different name. So I have VMware ESXI.7, and I'm just going to leave this as VMware ESXi. So there will not be any name conflict right here. Click next, and as you can see, the recommended size is 142 gigs. Be careful not to give more than you can afford. So since I have terabytes, I'll just be giving this 200 because why not? And after this video, I'll be going ahead and deleting all of them anyway. So and I will not be using the split disk because I'm not going to be doing any moving from one virtual environment to another. I'm just going to keep it store virtual disk as a single file and move on. And this is so as usual, I would be hitting the clicking on the customize hardware to change stuff, but VMware is pretty good at taking what they want, and I don't have any problem. As you can see, automatically took 4 gigs of RAM, and I gave it 200 gigs of storage, and it's gonna use NAT, that's fine, and 2 CPU cores, that's totally fine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit finish and get it going. So as that is cooking up, let's see how this one is coming along. 62%. Okay. Okay, 62%. Let's move on with the installation of VMware ESXi.7. As you can see, ESXi is pretty fast. It's not gonna take that much time. Like this part right here is the longest, if I'm not mistaken, and it doesn't even take that long. Maybe 2-3 minutes max. Looks like it might even complete faster than that. So let's double check. So we went from 62 to 80 with the deployment of vCenter. That's good, that's good. 20 more to go already. And ESXi is almost done. Okay, that should be completing shortly. And we're still at 80%. We're still at 80% over here. Right, let's see. As soon as ESXi is done installing, we're gonna go ahead and dive into the graphical user interface. I'm going to show you guys a few features and all that while vCenter is taking its time. That way you don't sit around just watching a timer go by. And so I designed it like this on purpose because I already knew that vCenter will take some time, and that's why I decided to show you guys how to install ESXi during the deployment of vCenter. That way we, kill two birds with one stone, as they say. So don't worry, we will have a lot to learn while the 20 remaining percent completes right here. So as soon as we're done installing ESXi, it's gonna be looking just like this. And I'll show you guys how to change the host name and all that good stuff. How to create port groups like this to organize all the VMs that you're gonna be installing on your ESXi. So it's gonna be pretty fun. Okay, ESXi has completed. Let's move on with the wizard over here. So we're just gonna go ahead and hit enter to continue, and we're gonna hit F11 to accept and continue. So on your keyboard, just look for F11 and just hit that. All right, it found the device, and we're gonna go ahead and hit enter to continue, and we're gonna keep the US English as default language, but it's you can just scroll up and down and select the language that fits your need. And over here, we're gonna be putting a very super secure password. you have to put a password that you will be able to remember, because you're gonna need it every time. And we're gonna go ahead and hit enter to continue, and enter to continue. Don't worry about those warning, and we're just gonna go ahead and hit click on F11 to install. F11. Okay, while that is going, I'll just go ahead and release my mouse over here and check on the vCenter. vCenter is still at 80%. Make sure, yeah, it's still running. Okay, that's good. Let's give ESXi some time to finish with the download. So take the opportunity to grab a coffee, grab a tea or your favorite drink, and enjoy learning. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hit enter to reboot. And it's currently rebooting. Alrighty, that's it. Hit enter, or you can just, if you don't hit enter, it was still gonna boot into after 4 seconds, so it didn't really matter. And this part shouldn't also take long at all. So I'm just gonna release my mouse and go check on the vCenter. vCenter is still at 80%. vCenter is still at 80%. Okay, let's go back. Alrighty, this is the last part of the installation. Right after that, we're gonna have an IP address where we can go access VMware ESXi. So now, as you can see, it used a DHCP to get an IP address from VMware Workstation, and that's at 192.168.211.145. So let's go check it out. And that was HTTPS 192.168.211.145, if I'm not mistaken. And there we go. There you go. So every time you're downloading, I mean, you installing a virtual machine and you see this, don't worry. It doesn't mean that you're going to a dangerous site. It just simply means that the software, the machine that you're installing, is using a self-signed certificate which is not recognized by the browser, and that's why you have this alert. So don't worry about it. We're just gonna go ahead and proceed to log in. So if you remember, the default username is root, and we were asked to put a root password. That's where we're gonna put that password right here, and then hit enter. And there we go. This is it. And this pop-up over here pretty much asks you to join the customer experience improvement program, and I've already done that so much, so I'm just gonna go ahead and check that and click OK. And there we go. This is it. This is VMware ESXI freshly installed, and I know some of you might have not known how to get to this point, because when I first started this video, I automatically just started right here to show you guys how to deploy VMware, vCenter. And I didn't think it would be fair if I didn't go ahead and show you guys how to, how you get to this point right here. And now, for those of you who are really brand new to VMware ESXi, I would hope that now it makes a lot of sense. Now I would hope that you guys are able to catch up. So this is the one, the virtual machine that we freshly installed. And let's go and check on vCenter quickly. vCenter ran into an issue. The request for acquiring and it has timed out. Okay, so I'm gonna have to restart this then. Let's go back and let's go back and try again. Let's try again real quick. And then next. Accept that. Next. And that's fine. And we need to put the password. So if you remember, this is the IP address of my official VMware ESXi, the first one that I started showing you guys. If we want, we can also put the IP address of the brand new virtual machine that we installed, that we just freshly installed. We can do that if we want to. So I'll go ahead and hit next, say yes, and leave that as is, and set a root password. Problem occur while checking if a virtual machine or template with the same name exists. So now we have a naming issue. So let's remove server and just keep vCenter. And this time I'm just gonna stick with tiny, and we're gonna keep data store number 2 and keep fin disk mode enabled. Hit next. And so DHCP did not work. We can use static IP address and just put in a static IP address over here, but I'm going to try a DHCP again one more time and see what the problem is. And I'm gonna, before I forget, let me just go back to infrastructure. That's what I would like it to be. Hit next and finish up and let it retry again. If this time it doesn't work and it's an issue of the DHCP, I will be attempting a third time with a static IP. I'll be assigning it an IP address. So, and if you wonder the reason why I had to change the name, it's because I did not delete the old one that failed. I didn't want to waste time to go in the folders and delete all this, because I wouldn't want this video to take too long. So that's why I just went ahead and just give it a different name, just to get to the end for the purpose of this tutorial, just so you see how it works. So let's go back. Let me see. Let's see if it's progressing. Okay, little by little. So we're just gonna let it go, and we're gonna go ahead and continue with the ESXi that we have freshly installed, which is currently running on a virtual machine. So what we're going to do is gonna click that, and we're gonna go to TCP/IP stacks, and so over here, let me see. Now we're not able to edit. let me see what I want to show you guys. Work. So the physical NIC is the one NIC that it automatically got from VMware Workstation. So the virtual switches, port groups. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a port group. Show you guys how I did it on the previous one. So infrastructure, infrastructure, and I'll give it VLAN 100 and hit enter. And I'll go ahead and create a second port group, call it IDS, and give that VLAN 200. You have to be aware, if you create a port group and you don't give it a VLAN ID, it will keep the default of 300. So keep that in mind. And this is just to get a little fancy. You don't really have to. This is not required. You can just skip you can keep the default one. But this is if you really want to get organized. You create different port groups and organize the virtual machines that you create. So let's say I wanted to use this for for serious business, like and get try to get more advanced. I would be using this one. I'll be connecting all virtual machines, desktop virtual machines like Ubuntu, Windows, all that good stuff. I'll be connecting them to this. And if I install an IDS, intrusion detection system, like a pfSense firewall or any other firewall or any other intrusion detection software system, I will be connecting it to this one. And the reason why you do that is because the permissions, you will only give these permissions to scan every single person's traffic in here. Like every single software traffic that comes into the system, you give this IDS port group is the only one that have that permission. So to listen to every single traffic of all the other port groups. That way you can be inspecting, seeing if a virtual machine is doing something fishy, is being attacked, or all that. That's things, a little more advanced topics. I'm sure as time goes by, we will be diving deeper into all that. But just to take some time and teach you guys, a thing or two, while our vCenter over here is taking its time, I just thought it would be good to mention that. And as you can see, we are currently at 72. We're gonna keep going and hope that this time it doesn't fail. Now, so we went ahead and we created different port groups, additional port groups. Oh, and data store over here. As you can see, we only have one data store over here, and on my official VMware ESXi over here, you see I have two. You see I have two over here, and that's because my computer, the Dell that I have, is a 2 terabyte computer, and I have one solid state drive, 1 terabyte of 1 terabyte, and I have a non-SSID, a non-solid state drive of 1 terabyte as well. So this is just a hard disk drive. So if it's a non-solid state drive, that means it's a hard disk drive. So that's what I have, and that's why I'm able to use these and create 2 different storages. So, but in our virtual machine that we just, in our virtual ESXi that we created, we don't have that option. That's why we only have one data store right here. Okay, let's check on vCenter. So vCenter is at 80% again. That's good but scary because it failed at 80%. So I really didn't want this video to take long. So fingers crossed. Anyway, let's go back and keep learning. Keep learning cool stuff about VMware ESXi.7. Remember that? This is the version 7. So let me see. And as you can see, we have the button over here, right here, that says to get vCenter. So that's what I was saying. Even though this is a virtual machine, we can still we can still deploy a vCenter server right here. So it's going to be a virtual machine within a virtual machine that have more powerful capabilities. So just be aware of that. What we are going to do is create a virtual machine. So first things first, you have to understand, in case you are new, you're brand new, this is really geared towards people that are really new to VMware ESXi. You can just go ahead and automatically, like after freshly installing, you can just go ahead and automatically, just start creating VMs. First things first, you have to go to the storage tab over here, and what you do is create a directory for your ISO images. So we're gonna name it ISOs. Create it, and with this directory created, we can now go ahead and upload our ISO images and have them available here before we actually create a virtual machine. So we're just gonna go ahead and upload a few. So I have the Raspberry Pi desktop, and I have the Garuda Dragonized, I have the Garuda Queen version, and the Wayfire version, and I have Manjaro, I have Parrot OS, the KDE security, and the default security, the Plasma security. So, and we have pfSense, and we have Security Onion, we have Ubuntu. So which one should I be installing as a proof of concept? Let me see. Ubuntu 21. Okay, let's just Parrot. No? Ubuntu. Let's install Ubuntu. So Ubuntu's ISO image is gonna take some time to upload. We're gonna give it some time, and as soon as the upload is done, we will go ahead and create the virtual machine. So while that is running, we're gonna go spend some time with vCenter over here. vCenter is still at 80%. Let's just hope it doesn't fail on us this time. Let me go back and check. Okay. 15%. Okay. I have a feeling I will have to cut this video into two, because we're currently at almost 40 minutes. I really didn't want it to take this long, so what I'm going to do, let me see. 26%. You know what? Let's give it a little bit of time. Let's see. Because my plan is, if vCenter is going to take too long, so we can probably just install Ubuntu, just so you know how to create a virtual machine. on ESXi, and then I'll go ahead and just stop this recording, and in future video try to finish up with deploying vCenter. So let's see. And I think what is making it worse is because I'm recording from this computer as well, and that's probably why things aren't going as fast. Because during testing it went way faster than, like, everything was faster than what we currently see. Okay, you know what? While this file is being uploaded, I'm just gonna go ahead and close it and show you guys around. Okay, oh yeah, I have an idea. Network. Cool. So what we are going to do is manually configure the TCP IP stack, and this is where you get to give it a host name of your choice to avoid some naming conflict. ESXi, ESXi.2 .executor.com. If you have a domain name, that's how you do it. So, but for this part, you just keep it ESXi2, and then continue with your domain name right here. So executor.com, and that way you will be over here. You're gonna have the full ESXi2 dot executor dot com, just like that. Combine the host name and the domain name. And so for the server, I'm just going to delete this local DNS server and just use Cloudflare's of 1 and alternate or secondary. I'm gonna use Google's, just like that. We can leave this as gateway, that's fine, and leave everything else as is and just save it. And if we do that, if everything went well, you're gonna say right here, now it looks more professional. But it's up to you. You can just leave all the defaults if you're just interested in testing, really. So still at 80%, and it failed again. Let's see. And it was the DHCP again. Let's close it, and this time I'm going to just give a static and see. I accept, move on. Okay, we're gonna leave that as is, and put the password. If this time it doesn't work, I'll just have to do a part 2 of this video so that this video doesn't take forever. server test, put a secure password, so we're gonna keep it as tiny and keep this as is. And this time we're gonna be okay, I'm gonna still choose infrastructure, and this time instead of DHCP we're just gonna go ahead and give it an IP address of 192.168.1.66. Yep. And the subnet mask is gonna be 255.255.255.0. And for default gateway is gonna be 192.168.1.1. And for DNS server we're gonna go with Google's 8.8.8, and we're gonna keep these ports as is, and just click next. If this one fails, I'll just go ahead and stop the recording and do a part 2 in a future video, because it might be due to the fact that I'm doing multiple things at once, but that shouldn't even be a reason. So let's go back to ESXi, our virtual machine right here. So ISO Ubuntu is done. Perfect. Now we are going to go to create a virtual machine within this virtual machine ESXi.7 right here. So now we can go ahead and just hit that button and create a new virtual machine. Keep that as an option and then move on. Name it Ubuntu. And let me see. Compatibility, we leave that as is because it's currently ESXi.7, so we leave that as is. And we currently we need, for Ubuntu we need a Linux, in case you're new. So, and OS version, we're just gonna go look for Ubuntu the 64-bit and hit next. And this is the only data store that we have, so we're just gonna keep that as is and click next. And we can just go ahead and associate and link our ISO image over here. Click ISO, click on Ubuntu, and then select, and that's it. Now that that's linked, let's just double check, make sure how many CPUs you want to give it, and the memory that you would like to allocate. Just increase it a little bit, and the storage that you would like to, I'll just go bump it a little bit as 50. And what else? Now I want this Ubuntu virtual machine to be linked with my infrastructure port group, so that's what I'm going to select, and leave everything as is and just click next. Everything looks good. We're just gonna go ahead and finish. Let me check on this guy over here, and we're still at 40%. %40 is really super slow. I don't know why. Come on, speed it up. Go faster than that. Okay, so let's just let's leave that running and hope it doesn't fail on us this time. And continue with our virtual machine. So all you have to do is just look on this tab over here and hit virtual machine. As you can see, there is one, and that's the Ubuntu that we created right here. This is where it is. Click that, and there you go. This is it. So as you can see, this says that VMware tools is not installed. So some softwares require that to actually work very well, like fitting the size, the proper screen size and all that good stuff. Not all of them do though, so we're just gonna see with Ubuntu. We're gonna go ahead and just power it on. Click over here or just click right here to power it on. Okay, we're gonna stick to the first. Hit enter. First option, hit enter. Okay, as you can see, Ubuntu is spinning up. Let me give that some time and check quickly on vCenter, which is currently at almost 70%. Fingers crossed this time. Okay, what's going on? It's still cooking. So let's give a few more minutes. There we go. The signature, color of Ubuntu, and the current wallpaper. That's how you know you're using the latest and greatest. Ubuntu 21. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and install Ubuntu. Keep everything as default. Normal installation and click continue. We're gonna keep the first option, erase disk and install Ubuntu, because we have nothing to lose. So just gonna go ahead and hit install now. Continue. And we're gonna keep New York time zone. It's not my current time zone, but yeah. Name, I'm gonna go ahead with executor, and the machine's name, we're gonna keep that to Ubuntu. You can name it whatever you want. That name already exists, so Ubuntu OS, and put a password. Not a password. Require password to log in, and hit continue. Now it's gonna go ahead and finish up. So as while this one is spinning, I'm gonna just go ahead and check again on vCenter. vCenter is currently at 81%. So it used to fail at 80% every single time, but looks like we are under money this time. Fingers crossed. It might still fail at any given time because I have so much going on at once. So yes, please remember, if this time it fails, I'll just go ahead and finish up with installing Ubuntu and go ahead and end this recording, and probably create a part 2 and show you guys how to finish deploying vCenter. Okay, this is still cooking, but it's getting there. We are at 90% with vCenter. Looks like we are on the money this time. 9% to go. Almost there, almost there. And Ubuntu is also still cooking, getting there little by little. So let me see what else. So as while we wait for all that, as you can see on my on my official VMware ESXI, you can see a total of 5 virtual machines, and I'll explain each one of them to you. So I installed Parrot OS right here, and I installed Windows Server 19 right here. Now, this virtual machine here is from the first one that failed, the first vCenter installation that failed. That's what this is. This is that one, and this is the second one. If you remember, we had a name conflict, and I had to delete server and just keep it as VMware vCenter, and that also failed. And now the third one right here is the one that we put a static IP address, and this is the one that is currently likely to succeed. So I mean, after this recording, I'll go ahead and clean this one up. I'll be deleting all these after this video, but I'm really hoping that this one is successful, so you guys can see the end of it. So let me see. Ubuntu is still going. vCenter is now at 95, so 5% to go. Okay, creating user. Looks like we're getting somewhere with Ubuntu. Okay, configuring hardware. Already, let me see. 96%. Almost there, guys. Fingers crossed. So my plan with this VMware ESXi, as you can see, 2 terabyte and 32 RAM of memory. My plan is to is to walk you guys through the installation of a lot of virtual machines in VMware ESXi. I know we've done a lot of it so far using VMware Workstation, which is this one right here. But a lot of companies out there in real world actually use, like most companies use VMware ESXi. And that's why the more experience you have with ESXi, the better for you if you were to be in a situation where you wanted a job out there, becoming a system administrator or anything in that nature, and they already know you have an experience with VMware ESXi and deploying vCenter. That's it. That's you will be very, very marketable. And I will be starting a tutorial session soon on Proxmox. Proxmox is also a Type 1 hypervisor. You don't have a virtual machine version of Proxmox. This one is on bare metal. You have to use the ISO image of Proxmox and flash it into a USB and boot it up with a server or a computer tower. I'm currently this Proxmox right here, as you can see. This Proxmox is currently running on a server on a Dell tower, Dell 2420 server, and it has 10 terabytes. So I used that and booted up so that I can have a lot of storage to just do anything I want with it. So, and you can see it has 64 gigs of RAM. That's plenty. That's more than I can ever need. And all that is for the purpose of showing you guys, helping you learn how to set up and configure Type 1, virtual machines using Type 1 hypervisors. So we are at 99% with the deployment of vCenter server, and our Ubuntu is still cooking. Alrighty, let's see. Let's now give more attention to vCenter because it's almost there, 99%. 99%. And while that is going on, and while Ubuntu is also going on, let's go back to what I was saying over here. So soon we will be deploying virtual machines using Proxmox. So I suggest, in case you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, because there is a lot coming. The best is yet to come, as I usually say. So, and as you can see, I already have a lot of ISO images uploaded over here, right here, waiting. So it will definitely be a fun time, and I'm really grateful for you guys subscribing, liking, and sharing my videos. I see the result. I see how it impacts YouTube algorithm, and I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for your support. So, okay, as you can see over here, vCenter is not even done yet, but it automatically took the storage that the RAM that we gave it. We gave it 19. And it took it right up. That's why you already have all these users over here. So every time you are deploying a virtual machine, whatever it is, always pay attention to the resources you have available before you start. Before you decide how much to give to a given virtual machine. Very important. Ubuntu is almost done. Ubuntu is almost done, and vCenter is still at 99%. Let's see which one is gonna finish first. vCenter at 99% or Ubuntu? Probably Ubuntu. Okay. Come on. It shouldn't take any longer. Almost there, almost there. Already. You know what? For the time being, I will just go ahead and delete these. And that's gone. Now this also failed, so we don't really need it. Shut it down first. Power it off. And then once it's powered off, we're just gonna go ahead and delete it. And now this one is still cooking. It's right here, it's still cooking. %. I have an idea. Let's see something. HTTPS 66:443 and see if it's already there. Because this is the endpoint where we will be accessing vCenter once the installation is complete. That's the endpoint. So not yet. Not yet. Already. Let's give it some time. Okay, Ubuntu should be completing shortly. Yeah, the reason why it's really taking this long is due to the fact that I'm recording while deploying vCenter, while deploying Ubuntu and all that good stuff. That's why it's taking extra. time. Still 99 already. Well, everybody, this video has taken more than an hour already, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end this one right here, and I will record a part 2 of this video, just showing you guys pretty much the end of it, the end result of it, so you don't have to wait for all that to all that spinning to be done. So thank you very much for being with me this whole entire time. I hope you have learned a lot, and look forward to part 2, which will be showing you the end result of this whole entire project. Thank you, and I will be seeing you guys very soon.